Well, good morning, y'all. Welcome to Psychology 215. This is Introduction to Human Development. So this term we'll be meeting online, and this will be solely online, solely asynchronous. So while it might have been listed as online or remote, it is an asynchronous class, and what that means is that you get to work through it at your own pace. Okay, so there's no required Zoom meetings that you have to attend for this particular class. My name is Laura Law, and I'll be your instructor. My email is there on the screen, and I do have office hours. So even though we're not meeting face-to-face in class or on Zoom in class, you're welcome to come and see me anytime in my office hours for clarification, questions, anything about the assignments, anything at all that you'd like. I'm more than available. My office hours are Monday and Wednesday from 10:30 a.m. to noon. That'll be on Zoom, and I will put the link up on Moodle for you. Okay, so what is this class going to be about? Our class is going to look at the development of human individuals from birth to death, covering the physical, the psychological, the emotional, and the social development of people as they grow. We'll look at cognitive, we'll look at emotional, we'll look at language, we'll look at moral development, we'll look at social development, we'll look at all these various elements as we go through. So as we look at like the human lifespan, we separate out the human lifespan into several sections. There's prenatal, and then there's infancy and toddler, and early childhood, later childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, middle adulthood, and then older adulthood. And so we'll look at these elements of cognitive, emotional, social, and psychological development in each one of these stages as we go through. We'll have some special emphasis on topics for persons interested in really working with children in the age range, in this like early age range, pre-K and early childhood development and elementary school and all that other kind of stuff, because we'll be talking a little bit about curriculum design, school age care, healthcare settings, effective guidance, all that other kind of stuff. Now, when it comes to reading, your readings are always going to be listed on the Moodle website. So everything you're going to be doing is through the Moodle website. You've got two basic books. You've got your textbook, Exploring the Lifespan Development, and then you've got a secondary book called Being Mortal, Medicine and What Matters in the End. We'll be reading quite heavily along this particular this class, because we'll be reading somewhere between 1 to 4 chapters per week between the two different books. So I've put up a reading guide for you, so you know where to kind of focus your reading. So in theory, if you had all the time in the world and you had all the interest in the world, I've developed the class so that you could go kind of explore in depth a wide variety of kind of little side topics, right? And you could go explore the entirety of the chapters, and you could dive deep into a number of different topics. However, recognizing that sometimes students don't necessarily have all the time in the world, I have set up a reading guide to kind of narrow it down so you know what to focus your time on if your time is a little bit more limited. So that's also up on Moodle. Now, the idea here, though, is that you want to do your reading and take any notes from your reading before you participate in any activities or discussions, because the discussions and the activities and the quizzes will all kind of require that you have read this stuff to be able to apply the information to the activity, okay? So this is a little bit about our secondary book here. This is our a secondary book. It does begin reading this week. We will read, again, each chapter before our discussions, because we'll kind of have a book club forum as our discussion. That's kind of what we'll be doing. We'll really be discussing this book in the discussions, and our quizzes will be on the other textbook. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to go ahead and put this little video on so that we can watch this. It's only a 3-minute video. We'll watch this and then we'll come on back to this, okay?
One of the reasons I write is it gives me my chance to dive into problems that I'm very confused about. I've written about, what are we supposed to do about the cost of healthcare? Why is the malpractice system so crazy, and what's the way it should be? I've written about why do we itch? If it's confusing and interesting to me, writing is my way of diving in and figuring out what to at least think about it. And this was one of the big ones. The two big unfixables are aging and dying. They're not, you can't fix those. We're afraid of talking to the patient about these problems as well. A lot of doctors feel like, I know how to have this conversation. I know exactly what I'm doing. But what I could see over and over again was that we weren't particularly good at handling people going through the last phase of their life. I've had to learn that because of patients with whom, they did not end up with a good experience at all. And then I've had to learn it the hard way because of my dad.
Do you remember when Dad first started to get pain in his neck?
He thought either playing too much tennis or just muscle.
And instead what they found was a tumor, a huge tumor.
I remember I took notes in my journal around that time. This is my dad saying, the way things are going, I could be bedridden in a few months.
The tumor had extended into his midbrain. The suggestion was that we should go see what options there might be for chemotherapy. So the oncologist lays out 8 or 9 different options, and we're swimming in all of it.
Temozolomide, vincristine, vinblastine.
And my dad says, well, what if I don't take any? And she said, well, that's your choice. Then started talking about how, you really should think about taking the chemotherapy. Who knows? You could be playing tennis by the end of the summer. I mean, that was crazy. It made me very mad because it was,
completely not right, yeah.
This guy's potentially within weeks of being paralyzed. It was holding out a hope that was not a realistic hope in order to get him to take the chemotherapy.
When he made the final decision that he doesn't, want to, I told him, for me it's okay if you are paralyzed, so what? I can take care of you. Yeah. And that's the main difference. It was not fine for him.
The oncologist was being totally human, and the oncologist was talking to my dad the way that I have been talking to my patients for 10 years. But hope is not a plan. And in fact, we find from our trials that we are literally inflicting therapies on people that shorten their lives and increase their suffering out of an inability to come to good decisions.
So that's a little bit about this particular text, and like I said, that's going to be our side text. It's our secondary text, and it's got a really large amount of really useful information. And be sure to keep up on it week to week, because our class project is also going to be reliant on this test. At the end of the term, we'll have a relatively large class project where I'll have you design a facility for elderly care, in which case a lot of it will be based on the concepts that come from this particular book. That really focuses in on what matters in the end of life there here. So, okay, so when it comes to the class itself, I said earlier that there's an awful lot of fun stuff that you can dive into, and there's lots of different ways to explore all of the information. So if we really, pull it all back and okay, what do we absolutely need to do? Well, the point earners in this class are our weekly quizzes that will cover the main textbook, the main textbook that will cover the overall set of developmental psychology information. Then we'll also have weekly discussion activities over our secondary book, the Being Mortal book. We will have 2 50-point exams, one at the midterm and one at the final, and then that the end of term class project where I'll have y'all design a facility for elder care. And there will be more information about that on Moodle itself. Okay, so those are the only things that you need to do in order to actually earn the points in this class. Now, there is a lot of extra stuff that you can do. It is there in case you are interested. It is there to help you fully assimilate the information. It is help you to understand, but it doesn't earn your points, so it is up to you as to whether or not you choose to do these things, because You know what your time looks like better than I do. I suggest you do them all. I recommend you do them all. But the only thing you earn points for are the things that are listed here on this slide. Okay, so if you have any questions from here on out, go ahead and read your syllabus. I'm going to show you around the course website, the Moodle, here in just a minute. I'll show you where your syllabus is. Look over the information on Moodle, do the Welcome Start Here folder and the Week 1 folder this week on Moodle, and then of course you're welcome to email me or visit my office hours via Zoom any of those particular times, okay? So let me go ahead real quick and we'll come on out of here. And then we'll come on back over here to Moodle, in which case let's take a look at our Moodle. So this is our overall course page, and if you have a slightly different CRN, that's okay. I'm teaching several classes this term, but the directions are all the same. This is still for spring 2021. So when you take a look at your class setup over here, you have weekly setup over here, so you can easily get to whichever week you're in. But for this week, I'd like you to start right here in the Welcome Start Here section and just work your way down, okay? So we're just going to work our way down. Here is your syllabus right here. Please download this, read it, and understand it. Okay, you're welcome to access it when you do the end of welcome quiz here. So the introductory quiz, that you can use your syllabus for that. So go ahead and download it, print it off, have a copy of it available. Okay. Here's the link to my office hours. Y'all are welcome to stop by whenever you'd like. These are the times right in through here. I am teaching 7 classes this term though, so if you do come to visit me in the office hours, please let me know which class you're from so that I know what it is that we're talking about. As we come down here, here's some study tips and suggestions and the reading guidelines to help you kind of focus in and figure out what exactly it is that you might be needing to do if you're limited on time. This is a trial program right here. This is a link to the e-audio book of our secondary text, Being Mortal. I don't know if that's something that might be useful to y'all, but the school's library is offering that, so I thought I'd link that up there to y'all. And then here's the information on our class project. Okay, so this will be here the entire term. You're welcome to at least take a look at it this week, but it won't be due until the end of the term. So we'll take another look at it, and we'll get a little bit more planning in, I think it's week 6, we have a discussion that really kind of dives a little bit more deeply into it. So you're welcome to take a look at it now, maybe just start kind of randomly thinking in your head now, but you don't need to worry about focusing on this until a little bit later. I do just want to point out that there it is though. Your first discussion is right here, and then your first quiz is right in through here. This week, I'd also like you to continue coming down here and do your week 1, so it tells you what chapters in the book to read. These are the little mini lectures right in through here. So it'll give you a link to the YouTube video where you can, turn on the closed captioning if you'd like to, the lower right-hand corner. I've also linked several other videos here that were in the mini lecture, so if there's a link within the mini lecture for a video that you might want to go see, I'll go ahead and put that as a secondary link here as well. And then there's some handouts that you can do that will help you apply the concepts that we talked about in through here. So work your way down through the mini lectures. Here are the PDFs of those mini lectures in case you'd like to print them off to be able to take notes on or to have access to the slides. Those are those PDFs. They're right in through there. And then, of course, your discussion and your quiz here at the end. Each week we'll kind of follow the same format. I'll tell you what chapters to read. I'll give you some mini lectures, a couple of associated videos to go along with that. We'll also talk about some activities that are some fun optional things, but will help you out. You've got your mini lecture PDFs, your discussion, and your quiz as we go on through the weeks. Okay? That's what I've got for y'all for this class. Again, if you have any questions, if you have anything at all that you'd like to talk about, go through the syllabus, flip through the Moodle here just a little bit, and then if you still have questions, feel free to shoot me an email or come to my office hours and let's talk. Thank you all very much. I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody this term. Have a great one.